There's a phrase that I've heard from quite a few politicians recently, which is, I don't know, I find a little bit disturbing, particularly Christopher Luxon, but others have used it as well, talking about how, as a country, we need to get our mojo back. Yeah, baby. I'm not sure that's the type of mojo he's talking about, but I suppose, we need to dream bigger. We need to take more action. We need to take our place upon the world stage and all of those sorts of things. And perhaps some accusations made about saying this sounds a bit Muldoonian, doesn't it? Let's think big. We'll be stretching our mouths to let the big words come right out. Tash McGill joins me on the program. Tash, kia ora. Thanks for joining us again.
Kia ora. Who is this Muldoon creature you speak of? I'm far too young to remember him.
Of course, a caricature that you may remember from some very old newspapers. Does our Prime Minister have a point, though? Have we lost our mojo? I don't want to think about what exactly he might mean by that, but just, do we need to be more feisty or have bigger picture, blue sky thinking? What's he thinking, do you think?
Oh, look, whoever knows what a politician's thinking on any given day of the week, right?
Yeah.
Probably depends the colour of the tie that they're wearing or, which shirt they pulled on that morning. But I do think that, probably the answer is, in some places, yeah, we've lost our mojo.
Okay.
And maybe in other places, we've probably got a touch too much. And so maybe
let's pull back a bit.
And if that's not the best illustration of actually what it means to be trying to make big decisions and shifting and navigating, it's hard. Gosh, it's hard enough navigating my life and my household of one through the big decisions that I have to make, let alone if I had a household, of more than one person, let alone, running my business, let alone, oh my goodness, imagine if I was like a city councillor or something. Gosh, oh my goodness, what if I was like a mayor? Oh my gosh, what if in fact I was like a cabinet minister? Oh no, for goodness sake, what if I was actually running the country? Yeah. Which we all probably know would be a great idea for a moment in time.
Yeah.
But
Team Tash, I'm voting.
But I think the nuance of that decision or that direction is actually the crux of why I think the older you get and the more experienced you get, the more you realize that nothing's as simple as, hey, have we lost our mojo, right or wrong?
Yeah.
In fact, every decision becomes far more complicated than a yes or a no or a right and wrong decision. The older you get, and particularly the bigger the decisions you get, the bigger that chasm between right and wrong, yes, no, and the more variables that go into doing the only thing you can do, which is making the best possible decision, right?
Oh, totally. Although living in a binary world, and I'm not talking gender politics here, but looking in a yes, no, on, off type world, that's so much easier, isn't it? It's just literally you flip the coin. Are we doing this or that? Are we all in over here or are we all in over there? But I suppose when we're looking at big decisions and having, dare I say it, strategy, it's not the big slogans, but it's all the little decisions that lead to that. And yeah, perhaps there's a little bit more nuance than that fits in a soundbite, perhaps.
100%. So, it's kind of like driving a car. Because when you drive a car, you don't actually drive in one direction. You drive a little bit to the left and a little bit to the right, and you're moving forward the whole time. Mm-hmm. So you're actually moving in 3 dimensions. If you hit a judder bar, you might be moving in 4 directions. So you've got to bear that in mind too. And are you going uphill or downhill? But all of those directions and movements are actually what it's like when you are having to make a big decision. Yep. And particularly if you're having to make a big decision with more than one person involved. And particularly if you're having to make a big decision that involves multiple factors, it's the more and more directions that you're moving in at once. And I think there's 2 things that are helpful within this. There's something that's really helpful for us to remember as, individuals on a unique level, which is that, oh yes, as I'm making decisions in my own life, the bigger the decision, the more I need to focus on making the best possible decision out of all of the things that are in front of me, right? So remembering that out of a little bit of left and a little bit of right and a little bit of forward and back and up and down and what have you, that I make the best possible navigation and trajectory through that. And then I think it's really important to maybe turn up the dial on some of our empathy and understanding.
Okay.
And so whether it's, the politics of your local netball club, the politics of your local community association, the politics of your local church, or the politics of, hey, New Zealanders, get your mojo back.
Yeah.
Come on, let's get this country moving.
Yeah.
That actually all of that boils down to the best possible decisions and the best possible directions that all of the people responsible for that are trying to navigate, because it's impossible for people to get it right or wrong. There's only best possible way forward. Now, we might disagree on a Monday, a Tuesday, a Thursday, maybe even all the days. You and I might disagree. We might disagree with the broader group at large.
Yep.
But ultimately, you got to take some solace in, actually, this is just the best possible decision that could be made, considering all of the needs, considering all of the perspectives, considering all of the people that are represented at that time. Now, the sandpaper is, that usually means nobody actually gets their way. And even
especially in coalition government, I imagine.
I think especially coalition government. So everybody's sacrificing something. Let's just remember that it's only a game of best of, and sometimes best of the worst scenarios that we're trying to choose from. And so that gives us permission to both, if you need to step away from the political food fight that happens in the media, maybe you can cut yourself a slack and just say, well, you know what? They're trying their best. And maybe their best just needs to be good enough today. And other days you can reserve that energy and that grace and empathy for yourself. And you say, you know what, today I made the best possible decision that I could. Yeah. Maybe you got a little snappy with the kids over the afternoon snack, or trying to get them to bed, or, trying to get them out the door in the morning. Maybe you grumped a little bit at the accountant because, accountants. Yeah. But ultimately, the older we get, the bigger the decisions, the harder it is to make a right or wrong decision, and the better it is to focus on just making the best possible decision that we can.
Oh, that sounds like some very grown-up decision-making strategies, which is probably why you shouldn't be Prime Minister, Tash. Too grown up to be Prime Minister. But hey, thanks so much for your comments. As always, appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us.
Cheers.
Hey, thanks very much for joining us in the Rhema studio. Thanks very much for watching the interview. It's kind of nice to have an audience, actually. And if you did like what you watched, then do give us a like, do give us the thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more interviews like that one, or perhaps even better, subscribe and those interviews will come straight to you. Don't forget to turn on your notifications, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.